What we must learn from development is that you don't do development for people. You have to do it with the people, and development must be done by themselves. When the federal government tends to say it's creating a development commission for the Niger Delta without ownership, let me talk about it, the scenario, what I see. The NDDC is a development commission set up by the federal government for the purposes of the development of the Niger Delta, particularly when we consider the development challenges of that area. And more importantly, the rate at which the rest of us depend on the resources from that area. So the logic of an NDDC or a Niger Delta Development Commission is valid. The recent happenings in the NDDC, however, are saddening, and they raise a lot of issues. They raise the issue of accountability and transparency. They raise the issue of corruption. They raise the issue of development itself as a paradigm. They raise the issue of capacity. And they raise the issue of the demand side of governance. So those are the issues that they raise. And let me start, probably one by one. A lot of fiscal irresponsibility, right, has emerged from the NDDC. What I mean by fiscal responsibility, I mean people spending money on frivolities. Palliatives to staff at the time of the COVID pandemic. It shows that the NDC itself is a machine that was just created to be fed. The second thing is that some of those contracts that were issued through NDDC, had they been actually completed, it was supposed to be a mechanism to deliver services to the people. And we are saying that if some of the contracts, there are so many uncompleted projects in the Niger Delta. There are two indicators for corruption in any society. If you're a consultant on corruption or an analyst on corruption, there are two things you look for. You enter a society, you look at the number of uncompleted buildings and abandoned projects. Then you go to the hotels, the most expensive hotels. If there are more indigenes staying in the hotel than guests and tourists, then you know that that's a corrupt environment. So largely, it also means that, by not fulfilling contracts, you are depriving people of the services that those contracts, had they been delivered, should have rendered to the people. So the Niger Delta people are suffering for that. Now, the fact that it is only after a probe that we are getting to know things like who gets a contract, who owns a contract, and what people should do, simply means that there is a lack of transparency within the process. It took a probe to bring out some of these anomalies. The NDDC issue is very saddening. It is marked with corruption, intransparency, service delivery failure, and it also reveals other issues around governance, the ability for the demand side of governance. And what I mean by demand side of governance is that, governments tend not to do the right thing until there's someone somewhere putting pressure on them to do the right thing. And this is why we have civil society. This is why we have the press. This is why we have alternative political parties and individuals who can continue to demand from government to do the right thing. So I think it's a very sad case. Another issue, or let me just say that as a background, that I think while creating an NDDC is a good initiative, it is justified considering the development challenges that the Niger Delta has, and if you weigh that against the kind of economic contribution the Niger Delta makes to the sustenance of Nigeria, then you will realize that making or putting together a development a structure for the regional development structure is positive. Having said that, if governments on their own were doing what they ought to do and delivering services to the people from the federal government to the states, we probably wouldn't need a development structure for the state or the region. What we must learn from development is that you don't do development for people. You have to do it with the people, and development must be done by themselves. When the federal government tends to say it's creating a development commission for the Niger Delta without ownership of the Niger Delta people, then there is a problem. Or if the ownership from the Niger Delta people is misconstrued, or palliatives for staff during an epidemic to the amount of hundreds of millions of naira is absolutely unfair, and it's almost bordering on criminality. The National Assembly members and members of government, people who are in government, that took contracts from NNDC, it is not only criminal, it's a breach of the Code of Conduct Bureau, the Code of Conduct. It is also a breach of the principles of conflict of interest. You cannot be serving in government and take government contract from government. So I think all of them are criminals, and they should either repent or, you don't have to try. Try-out might be wasting time. You can refund what they've taken and you can move on from there. That's fine. Some may be tried for those who have outrightly stolen money or have not delivered and have diverted the funds. Well, the law has to take its course, but that's it. What I would like to say, however, is that the best form of development, especially Nigeria, needs regional development. And this is one of the arguments for restructuring. Each region has a peculiar problem that is unique to it. It also has commonalities, linguistic commonalities, cultural commonalities, that if you take advantage of, you will help develop those people faster. The Niger Delta has its own commonalities. The Niger Delta has its own unique challenges. I am aware that the people of the Niger Delta formed a regional development initiative some time back, even before the NNDC. This was not government imposed. It was called BRACED. Bayelsa, Rivers, Akwa Ibom, Cross River, Edo, and Delta formed into the word BRACED, BRACED. That should have been the platform for which Niger-Delta development should have been predicated. The Southwest has a development agenda, and they have a development commission, which is the Dawn Commission Development Agenda for Western Nigeria, based on an endogenously grown initiative. That is, it was set up by the governors of the state. The difference between BRACED in South is that the governors didn't give the civil society, the citizens, the backing. In the Southwest governors gave the people the backing. It's not like the same principle that birthed Amotekun, right? So Dawn is the regional development structure for the Southwest. I am aware that in the Southeast there was the Southeast Economic Summit, because at some point I was head of DFID in the Southeast. Unfortunately, the inability of the governors in the Southeast to have the kind of coherence needed to have a singular regional momentum behind that didn't work. But I am glad that in the Southeast that the security situation is pushing them and to have a more coherent approach to development and regional development. The importance of regional development is why the Northeast Development Commission was created. But I would have wished that the governors of the Northeast themselves came to the table and formed a regional structure of their own, not something imposed by the federal government. And I believe that it should be done in the North Central, that has a preponderance of agriculture. I mean, that is our food basket. And the Northwest too. And this pushes further to the argument that Nigeria will only be better managed in manageable portions. And the 6 regions are manageable portions that provide us with commonalities, both economic, social, and including common challenges. So regional development structures can only be positive. They are positive, but they can only be managed well if the people actually own them. And I think this is the mistake with the Niger-Delta Development Corporation. I don't see, or the people see something that everybody believes that, look, it's anybody's. People just go there to steal. The Northeast Development Commission is having similar problems now in terms of transparency and accountability. It is very unlikely that you will hear that from a regional initiative like Dawn Commission of Braced. Or even if the Southeast decided to do something, or the Northwest decided to do something, there will be better oversight because it's our own. And this is what leads us to the argument that the federal government is taking too much. If the federal government must provide those, establish those commissions, what they should do is let the regions establish the commissions themselves and let the federal government be giving them the money based on their own guidelines and the rules, and ask for accountability, just like a donor, right? When the World Bank grants Nigeria a loan, we have to account for it back to the World Bank. So why doesn't the federal government just sit down? If you know you have all the money and if you know you can give the Niger Delta, call the state governors of the Niger Delta. Where is your regional agenda? Put your regional agenda down, and here is your portion. Go and do it. The last thing I want to say concerning the Niger Delta issue is that it has revealed a lot. Many people have called on people like Ankyo Briggs, like Tony Uranta, such significant people from the Niger Delta, to speak and challenge the Niger Delta indigents within the NDDC who have been proven to be responsible for the corruption. There has been a silence. I wouldn't blame them, but it's a Nigerian. It's a Nigerian problem. Yeah, and I don't blame them. We can talk to Nigerians. Have a tendency of being able to talk to other people, but they can't talk to themselves. We can speak the truth to other people, but we don't speak the truth to ourselves. Nigeria as a nation as a whole, we can talk how good Nigeria is when, especially, we have crises outside. When Nigerians were attacked in South Africa, when something happens to us abroad, we know how to talk to other people. We know how to, bandy around, but we don't look inside ourselves and say, okay, what have we done wrong? What are we doing wrong? And we talk to our own people. Then we calm down, and it happens apart from the Niger Delta. For example, my own region, to Yorubas too. There is ethnic tension in the country. There is all these divisions, and people feel marginalized from one side to the other. So everybody is focusing on, all of us, for example, if I'm from my ethnic region, I can talk about Nigeria from here all over, tell you how Nigeria doesn't work and how Nigeria has marginalized Yoruba people. But how much time am I talking to other Yoruba people and myself to say, look, what have we done wrong? The same case with the Biafrans, with the Southeast. The agitation for against Nigeria is probably most loudest from the Southeast. But the Southeast too should be able to ask themselves, what role did I play? Or what am I to talk to myself? So all of us should be able to talk to ourselves. As we talk to others, we should be able to talk to ourselves. I am highly disappointed. Well, it'd be wrong to say I'm highly disappointed, but I would have wished that the loudest voice against the corruption in the NNDC should have come from the Niger-Delta itself.